Welcome everyone. My name is Serafin Sanchez. I'm an Ableton brand manager and certified trainer, and I'm really excited to show you what's new in Ableton Live 10. Overall, you're going to find that you're going to be able to create with a broader, more sophisticated palette of sounds from some new instruments, new audio devices, and a brand new curated sound content. You're going to be able to work faster and stay in the flow with a multitude of workflow improvements. You'll also be able to do more away from the computer with some added functionality to push. And you'll be able to expand the limits of what's been possible with some awesome new additions for a fully integrated Max for Live. So we won't have time to cover everything that's new in Live 10, so I encourage you after this to download Live 10 and find out what's new for yourself. So, okay, with you, let's just go ahead and dig in and make some music together. Usually when I start off with a new track, I head to the browser. So here I'm going to find, all my favorite sounds and samples. One thing you'll notice right away is this section right here called Collections. So this is new in Live 10. So this is here to help you tag and find your favorite things faster. So these are 7 customizable categories that could be whatever you want. So my categories are called Favorites, Drum Kits, Loops, Max for Live, New EP, Synths, and some Wavetable presets from a new synth I'll show you a little bit later. But yeah, so these could be whatever you want. So you can right click and rename these to whatever works for your workflow. Down here in the packs, this is also a new addition in the browser to Live 10. So this will show you all the available packs that you have in your Ableton account that maybe you just haven't downloaded or installed. And now you can install these straight from the browser, which is really nice, saves you a ton of time. There's also a section for updates. So these are all packs that I have in my account that I just have that have some kind of updated sound content that I can add. So yeah, there's been a ton of new sound content added to Live 10. All of the new packs are curated collections of samples, instruments, and clips that all have some kind of sonic theme together. There's also been some new instruments added to the Essential Instruments collection. So some awesome new multi-sampled keyboards, some really good acoustic drums. I'm going to bring one of those drum sets into the track right now. So go to the Drum Kits folder and bring this into the track. Great, so probably like you, when you load a new instrument, you just kind of want to play around for a while, whether it's a synth or a drum kit, and you find a part that kind of gets you a little bit deeper into your song. So I'll just start playing around on the pads and kind of seeing where the samples lie. And then you probably just start jamming until you find an idea that you like. So I'll just jam. Cool, so let's say I found a groove that I liked. The next thing I'd want to do is I'd want to turn on the metronome, then figure out what tempo it was, and then press record, and hopefully play the exact same thing that I just did when I wasn't thinking about recording. But there's a new feature in Live 10 that'll help solve that problem. So this is called Capture. So here's the Capture button right here. And what happens is Capture's always listening to incoming MIDI notes, and if your transport is stopped, it'll find the tempo that you're playing at and bring in the last idea that you just played. So let's see what happens when I press Capture. Great, so here's everything that I played, even up to the point where I was just noodling around on the pads. So it captured that idea, so I'm going to change the start marker, and I'm going to select just a 2-bar loop. Cool. So now that I have a drum part ready, I think I want to beef up the sound of those drums, just make them a little bit punchier, add some low end. So to do that, I'm going to bring in a brand new audio effect called Drum Bus. So one thing I'm hearing right now is that I want the kick to just have a little bit more low end and be a little bit more boomy. So for that, I'm going to use this feature called Boom. Cool. So I can also change the resonant frequency of that low end by this knob here. Shorten the decay. This section right here is a force to MIDI note. So let's say I'm in the key of C. I can change this frequency to be exactly a musical note C. So without drum bus, and then with drum bus. Great, so I also want to add some character and bring out some of those mid-high frequencies. So I'm going to bring in the crunch. And I can use the built-in transient shaper, so I can roll it all the way back to make it really tight and punchy. Or completely open it up and add a lot of sustain of the drums. And there's also a built-in drive, so I have 3 different types of distortion. I have a soft distortion, medium distortion, and hard. So again, here's without drum bus. And with drum bus. It likely helps me stay in the flow and quickly change the character of my drums. So now that we have a drum part, let's go ahead and add a bass line to this. So for this, I'm going to bring in a brand new instrument in Live 10 called Wavetable. So Wavetable brings in the sensibilities of a subtractive synthesizer with 2 analog oscillators, 2 analog modeled filters, and a powerful modulation matrix. I'm really liking Wavetable because I can quickly create complex, modern sounds, sophisticated sounds, as well as classic vintage sounds. So go to Instruments and add Wavetable. And first thing I like to do is, here are my collections. This is a couple of the Wavetable presets that I'm really liking. Cool. So when I design a sound, first thing I like to do is open the expanded view, so that way I can see all the parameters at once. So right now you can see one of the Wavetable oscillators, and we're in the vintage category right now. So I can use these left and right arrows to kind of see the different. I can also grab inside the Wavetable or use the Wavetable position slider to play different points inside the Wavetable. So there was the vintage category. Let's also check out the complex category. And then you also have the basics. There's also some really fun oscillator effects inside Wavetable. So right now we're in the modern section, so we can play with things like warp, fold, you also have your FM effects and your classic effects like pulse width, sync. Cool. Down here to the left, this is the filter section. So you have 2 analog modeled filters that can be run in split, serial, or parallel. Off to the right are some brand new unison modes. So you have your classic unison mode. Some of the other ones I really like are phase sync. And position spread. I'm going to bring it back to classic. Here in the center, this is the modulation matrix. So the way that this works is, let's say that you want to modulate your pulse width by LFO2. So first thing you do is you select what you want to modulate, and it automatically shows up in the modulation matrix. Next thing that you do is you dial in what you want to modulate it with. So in this case, LFO2. I can just crank up the amount. Just a little bit of a preview of Wavetable. Let's go back and let's go ahead and create that bass line. So I'm going to go to a section in my collections called New EP. So these are just some sounds that I want to use for a new track. And I'm going to bring in this track right here. Cool, so I found a part that I like, but I didn't record it. So in this case, I'm going to use capture to bring that idea back. You can also use capture from push. So in the way that you use capture and push is that you hold down record and then add the new button. And it brings in the last idea that you played. So here, I'm going to go to the beginning. Cool. So I have a bass line, I have a drum part, but I think I want the bassage to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more gritty. So for that, I'm going to bring in a new live effect called pedal. So we'll head to audio effects and bring in pedal to the track. So here's pedal. So this brings in the sounds of analog guitar stomp boxes into live. So this obviously sounds great on guitars. It also sounds really great on synths, drums. I've been using it on electric keyboards too. So there's a lot of fun ways to use pedal. So pedal runs in 3 different modes. So you have overdrive, you have distortion, and then fuzz. So for this one, I think I'm feeling overdrive a little bit more. So I'll crank up. I also like to use the sub button to help bring back some of that low end. Cool. Another new effect in Live 10 that I'm really liking is called echo. So I'll go to the audio effects and bring echo and put these on the drums. So echo brings in the sounds of analog hardware and digital delays inside of Live. Usually I start off by playing with the delay time. So this could be run in sync or time-based, and you can control this from the knobs or directly from the time tunnel. In the character section, there's built-in gating, built-in ducking. There's also a really cool noise generator that kind of brings in the characteristics of old analog vintage equipment. Here in the front, there's also some built-in reverb that's really fun. And echo could be run in 3 different modes. So you have stereo, I could decouple the mid and the right side and the sides and have different delay times for each. Great, so I have a bass line going, I have some drums going. Let's bring in some harmony to the track. So for this, I'm going to go to the category called New EP and bring in a new sound. So for this, I think I want to sequence in some chords. So I'm going to head back over to Push and show you a brand new sequencer that's new in Live 10. So when I open this track, it opens up to the Push keyboard view. And if I press layout once, I can see the melodic sequencer. And if I press layout one more time, I can see a brand new sequencer in Live 10. So the way this works is that this bottom half of the keyboard is the push keyboard view. And the top half is the step sequencer. So in this case, I think I want to sequence in 1/8 notes. So I'm going to select 8 notes. I select the chord I want to sequence. And then I draw in the pattern on top. I'm going to select a different chord. And draw the pattern in the third chord. Great. I'm going to add one more track, so I'm going to hit Add Track, and then go back to my collections, because I can also see collections from push, and go to the new EP category, and bring in another sound. So I found an idea I liked. I didn't record it because I didn't really know what was going to happen in that music making process. So I'm going to go back to Live and press Capture and bring the idea back. Great. So now I have 4 different ideas going. It'd be cool to start to see the relationships of one part to another. So I'm going to select the drum part, and then I'm going to hold Shift and select the bass part. I'm going to fold these together, and now in Live 10 this introduces multi-clip MIDI editing. So here I can see the drums and the bass together on one clip and edit them from a single place. And I can choose between what I'm looking at from the loop braces on top. So this top brace is the drum pattern, the second brace is the bass pattern. And so let's say I wanted to change the relationship of the bass and the kick drums. I can do that from here. And I can also move the drums around. And I'm not limited to 2 tracks, so I can see up to 8 different MIDI clips at the same time. So I'm going to select all 4 clips and see everything at once. So something else I like is, you know, here are the drums, there's the bass, these are the chords, and this last track is the melody. One thing I can see right away is that the chords and the melody are in the same octave. So maybe one thing I'd want to do is move the melody up an octave to just give a little bit more clarity in the mix. So now that I have these 4 ideas, I'm going to Shift, copy them, and put them in the arrangement so I can start to flush out a timeline. So one thing that I like to do in arrangement view is a lot of detailed automation editing and adding breakpoints. And now in Live 10, automation got a whole lot easier to do. So for one, there's a dedicated view just for automation lanes. And so you can get to that by pressing this button here, it's the automation button, or you can press the A key on your QWERTY keyboard. So now I have a dedicated view for all of my automation lanes. So let's say, for example, I went to this track and I wanted to automate the frequency of auto filter. So first thing I do is I select the frequency, and it automatically shows up in the device chooser. Then, this is new in Live 10, I can just double click anywhere in the track to create a breakpoint. So I don't have to select on the line and then move it up or down. I can just select anywhere in the track and it'll automatically create a breakpoint. What's also really nice is that all these breakpoints are now quantized to the grid, so I can move it to the left or to the right, and it'll stay exactly on the grid, so I can put these on different 16th notes. If I wanted to take it off, I could hold down Command and fine-tune that. You also notice that when I hover over a breakpoint, now I can see the value of that frequency, which is really helpful. And then if I wanted to move this up or down, you'll notice a black line that appears. So this is a nice vertical assistant that helps you keep those breakpoints in control as you move them up or down. Cool, so let's say that I wanted to copy this exact breakpoint pattern to another track. Let's do it on this one. So again, I'm going to select the frequency of the auto filter, and then I'm going to copy all these breakpoints and paste into the other track. Great. Also in Live 10, there's been some major updates to Max for Live. So now Max for Live is fully integrated into Live 10, which means no extra download, no extra install. It automatically starts when Live starts, which also means faster load times and much less CPU. There's been some really cool updates to some of our favorite Max for Live devices. One of mine is LFO. So I'll bring LFO onto the bass track. So here's the LFO device. One thing that you noticed, or maybe didn't notice, is that it just loaded right away. It loads very fast, and it looks like a native Live device now. Specific to the LFO, over here, we can expand this and see that now you can map up to 8 different parameters on a single LFO device, which is some really powerful feature. There's also been some abilities to allow multi-channel audio within Max for Live. So there's a brand new surround panner that's been added in Live 10. There's also been the ability to use sysex to add data to and from your MIDI gear. One of the new devices in Live 10 is called Shaper. This is one of my favorites. So Shaper allows you to map any of these customizable envelopes to anything in your live set. So I'm going to map this to the frequency of Wavetable. So you can use any of these the envelopes that come with Shaper. Or you can take it off the grid and draw your own shape. So I have an idea started. Maybe I want to end for the day and I want to take it with me. So I want to listen to it on my phone, maybe listen to it in the car. I'm going to do one little tweak on the master track. So I'm going to go to Audio Effects and bring in the updated utility device. So one thing that's really nice about the utility is it has a dedicated mono switch, so that I can preview all my mixes in monos, which is really important. There's also a bass mono switch that'll allow me to sum all the bass frequencies below this crossover frequency into mono. Great, so I'm going to set that on the master track, and then I'm going to go to the export audio menu. And one thing that you'll find, and this is new in Live 10, is that you can export straight to MP3 and or WAV file at the exact same time. So if you want to take a little file with you on the road, now you can have the MP3, and it's all ready to go. Like I said, we didn't see everything that's new in Live 10, so if you wanted a complete list of everything that's new, you can go to Help View, and then look at the Live 10 lesson, What's New in Live 10, and this will give you a complete overview of everything that's new in Live 10. So again, I'm Serafin Sanchez, and thank you for being here.